one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, Dale, a couple of things. Obviously, being a fast bowler and you having huge success in Australia, not just as an individual, but as a team as well. We know how hard that is to go to Australia. It's similar to India. You've seen it now in England. They go out there, huge hopes. They've got 4 fast bowlers, 5 fast bowlers actually in that first test, playing at Perth, quick bouncing wicket. They thought they were going to get the victory. Australia just keeps showing time and time again it's got to be something special performance to beat Australia in Australia.
Yeah. No, you don't just go there and just beat Australia. I think it requires a lot of planning, a lot of hard work. Somebody's got to be in form. Like I'm going to be honest. Every time we went to Australia and we won, we had guys in form, and it took a collective effort. One of the biggest things that we always spoke about was lower order runs, because you just mentioned all those Australian quicks. They're going to come at you. They're going to bounce you out. You're not going to get any half volleys as a tail ender. And then the one that they do pitch up is pretty much knocking your stumps out or getting you out anyway. So if you can somehow cluster up runs as a tail ender, or you'll get your tail to wag, those are invaluable when it comes to beating Australia. And then having 1 or 2 guys up in the top order that can go big and score big runs, like a 150. Who knows, if you really dig in, you can get a 200, that kind of thing. You need guys to be in form, and then have a good structured plan as to how you're going to go about it. And one of the ways that we kind of beat Australia is we just try to wear them down. We just kept coming. Didn't give it easy. Didn't give up any wicket easy. You just got to be relentless on it, because if you give them a chance, they just straight back into the game. They're so good in their conditions. They're so good with what they say they deliver on. So you just cannot give them an inch. And it's hard work beating Australia in Australia. It's not easy.
Absolutely. And when with your bowling, did you feel as though, being brought up in South Africa, you've played obviously all around the world, but did you feel as though you could bowl your same lengths as you did in South Africa, in Australia, and have that success? Because you, similar to me, you were quicker, obviously. You bowled it a lot shorter than me at times, but you had that knack of swinging the ball and getting nick off. And I had decent success in Australia, and obviously your record in Australia is right up there. So did you always think the same plan, pitch it up, make them play with the new ball?
Yeah. It was probably the toughest thing about playing in Australia, because of the extra bounce, is you're just a little bit fearful of going too full. Because if you go too full, then it's half volley, bang, and then they bang you, and then you drag your length back, and then that's an absolute useless length, pretty much, because it's meat and drink for them all day, for any batter really. That's like that no man's land, They'll cut you. The wickets are true. They'll play you off the back foot. They're not in any trouble. They're not getting out LBW or bowled. You might nick them off the odd one if it goes, but it's such a conservative effort to get the ball that foot fuller in Australia, like it is in South Africa. And because it's similar conditions to South Africa, I always felt comfortable bowling there. But it's tough, it's tough because you get drawn into the bounce, and you get drawn into a keeper catching it above his head, and you get caught up with the crowd. And sometimes you just have to break that away. You got to block that silence out and say, okay, what works for me? This is what works for me. Got to go a little bit fuller. Got to be a little bit more patient, and try and take the wickets. That said, the way that the guys bat these days too. I mean, when I say these guys, you look at Travis Head. I mean, you have to have pretty incredible plans. You can bowl that same ball, but there's a chance that you could get him out first ball, or if he gets going, he's gonna have the same innings that he had in Perth the other day. So people play differently now too. But in terms of bowling, that slightly fuller length is always going to get you rewards.
And there's always something that I think the wickets now probably do a little bit more, Dale, than when you toured with South Africa. They tended to be flat, right? And if you got past the new ball, you could score big, as you mentioned. Some of the guys can go big, 150s, 200s. But as we've seen in state cricket over the last couple of years, it's been medium-pace swing bowlers that have taken the wickets. And to be honest, we've seen the success now of Boland as well coming into the side. The wickets he gets in Australia, that type of bowler is having huge success.
Yeah, that's it. I think they are a little bit sportier. And I think that's why you see guys playing so many more shots, because they just feel like if they stand there and they kind of block, one's going to have it's going to have their number on it. You know, they're going to nick off and they're going to go, you know, I'm just trying to survive here, and I'm getting out. So I may as well come out of the crease, move sideways in the track, hit the ball in awkward areas. But there's always a chance, you know. There's a chance and there's a risk to that as a batter, and as a bowler, you should feel like there's, you know, there's a chance of getting a wicket. But I mean, then you get the Travis Head kind of innings, and that's an extraordinary innings. You know, if he plays another one like that in this series, you know, I'll be like, congratulations, mate. You deserve every cent that you earn, and well done. He is that good, but it is one of those innings that you just kind of have to dom your cap on it and be like, well done. But for the bulk of the time, it's going to be difficult.
Did you get reverse swing out in Australia, Dale?
A little bit, you know, a little bit. I think back then when we played on like flat tracks. So we would always kind of we'd go cross the seam, bowl the ball into the decks, try and get the guys to throw it, you know, scuff it up a little bit. Umpires are a little bit smarter these days. They kind of see it and they try and stop you. But we did bowl for some reverse swing, certainly. But we also weren't shy to kind of just grind it out. And like I said, our spinners, one of the reasons why our spinners did so well there is because Australians don't want spinners to settle. They want to take them on. You know, they really, really want to take them on. And Paul Harris was a guy that would just bowl almost like a negative line. He'd bowl left arm over into the legs and not be scared at not picking up a wicket. He'd bowl 20 overs, and then one of the batters would just be like, I've had enough. I'm going to have a go. And he would get caught mid-on or mid-off and look like an absolute fool, and how he would work his way to getting these wickets, and then just allow us to just keep coming back. You know, Mornay would come back, I would come back, Makaya would come back. Callis had a little bit about him. Vernon Philander would just kind of nibble and nip. Kyle Abbott, again, another guy that gets the ball up there. So our spinner always allowed us to keep the seamers in the game, but almost in a negative way, and the Aussies didn't like that. They wanted to take him on.
Well, you got to get at them. I know you mentioned then about tail end runs. You got runs obviously in Melbourne. I remember that. I watched that. Was it 70 odd, wasn't it? I think 70 odd you got in Melbourne when you won that game, and it looked like that could have gone either way. And those runs were important. Did you, as a team, as well? Just quickly on this one, did you, as a team, think right? We're going to go at their tail enders because they tend to have a long tail, don't they? Australia. It starts at 8, really. I mean, not an absolute. Not a 9, 10 or 11. It's a genuine 8. It's like a Cummins or a Shane Warne. But did you decide you were going to go at their lower order as well?
Yeah, we tried. I certainly had my fair share of battles with Mitch Johnson because the man could bat, you know, and he did. He got 100 against us in Joburg when we played at the Wanderers. So he can bat. He certainly can bat. But, you know, I was getting bounced left, right, and center when I'd go out there and bat. So I was like, I'm going to give it to these guys. So it was a little bit like whose tail can score the most runs, you know. And we worked hard on it. Boucher, Duncan Fletcher, they worked hard on our tail enders to make sure that we had like 2 or 3 shots that we could score on. And then it's just solid defense where he was like, take the drive away. You guys are never going to drive. You know, you're not that good. And so we're just like, all right, no drives. A couple shots in our armory, and we worked with that. And then when their guys came out, you know, we try to give it to them. If you can break Mitchell Johnson's hand and get him out of the series, you've done beautifully, you know. But then again, just try and get it up there, get them out, in the same way that we'd get like your Pontings and your Clocks out and your Hussies out. You know, if those top order guys couldn't handle it, then the tail enders couldn't either.
And Dale, you were an handful with a red ball, the white ball. You would have been a proper handful with a pink ball, right, in the day-night game. I know you was on that tour. Obviously, you didn't play in the day-night test. But how do you see the pink ball? I think you played a county game, didn't you? Hampshire versus Yorkshire with a pink ball. How did you go with it? And what did you think about the pink ball and what it does through the air and off the pitch?
It's crazy what it does, like what it can do, especially in that twilight kind of area. And I kind of like the way that teams are now adjusting to it, because as soon as they kind of start to see, oh, we're going to get to that zone, they either up the scoring rate so they can get in a bowl in that period or whatever it is. So it really makes you think like how you're going to play your cricket. Yeah, I just had that one game for Hampshire against who was it? Yorkshire, I think. Yeah, it wasn't a very good sample size because, to be honest with you, it was a pink ball game and we never even needed the lights because it was still daylight at like 8:30 p.m. at the Rose Bowl. So my experience with it is not as great as some of the guys that have played, but I did practice with the Proteas when we had a couple of those ping pong games under lights, so the guys could get used to it. And I just found that it swung so nicely. You just felt like you were always in the game. You know, there was always something. It had this glimmer and shine about it. And even as flat as the wicket was, you just felt like there was always something there for you as a seamer. And that was in practice. So, you know, when you throw it into a game situation, crowd, pressure, all of that kind of stuff, I feel like that elevates that even more, because now you just know, you know, one wrong shot here and you're out. So it definitely leans more towards the bowler. I mean, look at Mitchell Stark's record with the pink ball. It's actually incredible. So I would have loved to have played a couple games with it, but didn't happen.
Have you been watching, just a last one, have you been watching the series England versus Australia? I'm sure people are all around the world. So it's pretty impressive, that first test match, wasn't it? Finished in 2 days.
Unbelievable. Like we were watching it because it was the second test here, and as the comms, we had it on TV the whole time. You see the guys are doing the comms, but their heads are like this, just watching the TV, and then they're trying to watch like it was incredible, you know. And I mean, yeah, what do you say? You know, like they played. It was such an aggressive brand of cricket that both teams played. Like there was wickets. I don't know. It was all packed into 2 days. I thought it was pretty awesome. Like, you know, like I'm also all for a game that goes 5 days, like we saw South Africa against India. But that was like action packed, like injection filled adrenaline for like 2 days. I thought it was pretty awesome.